All right, let's move on to the next guy. He's also on the offense. He's George Kittle. He played well last year when he was healthy, but he got hurt twice. The first injury wasn't his fault. It was jumped up to catch an errant pass and came down and got hit in the knee. Came back, and then the second injury was, I'm not saying it was his fault, but it was just freaky. He was running, the foot broke. It was like a non-contact injury, but it was during a game. So what is your projection for George Kittle's 2021 season? He's like 28 now. Nick, you can start off if you'd like.
George Kittle's 2021 season, he'll be a first-team, second-team All-Pro as long as he stays healthy. And going back to his injuries, I wrote an article last offseason going into the 2020 season about how he should consider changing his playing style. And a good friend of mine, Mike Schumann, and I sat down and we addressed the cause for concern with his playing style, how he's kind of just a battering ram, refuses to go out of bounds, he always fights for that extra yardage, and it gets the team motivated. A lot of good comes out of that, but it's eventually going to take a toll, take a toll on him, especially in the later stages of his career. So he has to consider making adjustments and just going out of bounds and not taking those unnecessary blows. But as far as projection goes, I see him picking up right where he left off this past season. Just looking at how he returned those final two games of the regular season and what he did, you can just tell that he's a huge difference maker, and this team is so much better with him on the field.
I think he'll naturally miss a game or two every season, but I think he'll pick up, like Nick said, right where he left off. He's a top 3 tight end consistently every year, and Darren Waller kind of put his name into that ring last year, but George Kittle's going to come back out with a vengeance because Travis Kelce was deemed the greatest tight end season in a long time last year, and George Kittle will want to one up that. And I think he's a vengeful player, and that's always a good thing. And I think he'll have a better season if he can stay healthy. Those foot injuries, as we're talking with Deebo Samuel, are always concerning. Same with knees and back. So if he can just avoid the back injuries and keep that foot healthy, that's a good sign for him, and he should be able to get close to that 1,000-yard marker again.
I'm a little more pessimistic on Kittle. He's a great player, but as Nick pointed out, he has this very particular playing style. Him and Deebo are similar, except he's about 5 years older than Deebo, and he's taken a lot more NFL collisions than Deebo. And his body's been breaking down a little bit for the last few years. He's got that shoulder wrap on. He plays through a lot, broken ribs, tough guy. But I think, as Nick pointed out, eventually it's going to take a toll. It's going to catch up to him. And I think that's why I'm concerned about his foot a little bit more than Deebo's. I feel like we saw it last year. That was a concerning injury. He was just running down the field and his foot broke. Who's to say that won't happen again? Is his body starting to go? He plays a very physical style and he's almost 28. So I actually expect this to be sort of what we get from George Kittle in the future. A lot of missed games, not just 1 or 2. And if he plays more than that, God love him. I think once the dude's body goes, it's not coming back. Maybe he'll have a year or 2 where he doesn't have the big injury, but just his playing style, he's not going to go out of bounds. Nick, you know that. He's not. He's absolutely not.
One thing to talk about the 2 injuries he experienced this year, and you touched on this already, Grant, they weren't necessarily a correlation to his playing style, right?
Right.
They were just kind of 2 bang plays, which is, you know, so maybe it won't catch up. It just seems inevitable that his playing style, it just naturally takes a toll on your body. It does. And
so now you kind of see why I've been trying to get the fan base into the idea of maybe trading Kittle soon, because if I'm right, his value is going to go down. He's going to have the label as great player when healthy, but injury prone and aging. So if I'm wrong, he's still the catalyst and the best player on the team. If I'm right, he is a depreciating value asset. So we'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong.
But even with the depreciating value, there's still some positives. If you just compare him to, Rob Gronkowski's the best tight end of all time, probably.
Who's had a lot of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of injuries. And just so he was 31 this past season, and playing after sitting out a year, he played all 16 games. But his last full season was 13 games, 14 games, and then 8 games, and then 15, 15, and 7, 11. So he's only played 16 games 3 times in his career, his first 2 seasons, and then last year. So even if you're injury prone, there are some similarities with Gronkowski and Kittle where maybe just a year off 4 years from now can revitalize it all.
This is wild to think that basically, what's his face, Gronkowski, retired after 29. And Kittle is going to be 28 in October. I don't think he's close to it, but it's crazy to think that. I mean, he's little Gronkowski, right? He's like the mid-sized Gronkowski. If Gronkowski is the Escalade, then he's like the mid-sized sedan version.
Doesn't go Gronk and then Kittle's baby Gronk and then Robert Tunyon's baby Kittle and then just keep going.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean that puts it into perspective. He's taken a lot of punishment. That amount of punishment forced Gronkowski into a 1-year hiatus. I don't think Kittle's there yet, but that's why I'm a little more pessimistic. I feel like these things are going to add up.
One more thing with
the
Kittle,
accumulation of it. What?
I have a hard time seeing him getting a second huge contract. Like I feel like the contract he received this past offseason, he'll be able to make the most of it and be a tremendous player for the next 4 or 5 years, however long he's under contract for. But it's going to be difficult for him to get another massive contract when this one expires, given his playing style. And
yeah, I agree.